The average person has around 6,200 thoughts a day, and out of those, there's got to be at least a few good ones. But how many people actually act on those ideas? How many stories, movies, or pieces of art go from a passing thought to a fully realized concept? Unfortunately, not enough. So when I got the chance to create the visual identity for a new organization called SPACE, I was all in. SPACE stands for Sanctuary for Polk County's Arts, Culture, and Education. It's a nonprofit with a mission to build, well, a space for creatives in the Polk County area. Not just a group or a location, but a full-on community, a hub, a resource for artists of all mediums, skill levels, and backgrounds. The long-term goal is to open up a brick-and-mortar space where people can work, learn, grow, and connect. And that's something that I'm personally invested in. A lot of people dream about building something like this, but very few people are willing to put in the time and effort to make it real. So when I caught wind of this concept, I immediately jumped on board. I might not be able to donate money, but I can offer my skills in design and branding to help get this thing started with a bang. With any visual identity project, setting the foundation is one of the most crucial steps. That's why I met with Sarah, the executive director of SPACE, to pick her brain and help flesh out the vision for the organization. Sarah isn't a businesswoman or an executive, she's just a passionate artist who noticed something was missing and decided to do something about it. So she decided if no one else is going to build it, I will. That's why brand facilitation was such a key part of this process. Sarah doesn't have a background in branding or running an organization like this, so this step wasn't just for me to design a logo, it was to help clarify the vision, values, and personality of the organization itself, to give structure to the abstract ideas, to build a roadmap for the future of this project. We met twice to work through everything, to talk through every detail and make sure we were aligned on where this thing is heading. We covered the look and feel of the brand, of course, but also the audience, the mission, and the values, and what sets SPACE apart. It's a lot of information, so we took our time, because if we're going to do this right, it all starts with a solid foundation. Once we've laid the groundwork and we have a solid foundation, we can finally dive into the fun part, the visuals. The first thing that I work on is a mood board. This helps make sure that my client and I are on the same page, because when they say modern, what exactly do they mean? The mood board acts as a visual checkpoint to catch any differences in interpretation early on. Once the mood board is approved, we move on to stylescapes. These are more refined and highly curated visual boards. Think of it like this. Both mood boards and stylescapes act as a creative sieve. The mood board is a wider mesh capturing general elements that we want to include, while the stylescapes are a finer mesh, filtering down everything to a more specific direction. I usually create 3 to 4 stylescapes to present. Each one varies in tone and direction. The first one is usually the safest option, and the last one is the boldest. The ones in between fall somewhere along that spectrum. This helps us explore the full range of possibilities and figure out where the client feels most comfortable. Are they ready for something that's really loud and outside the box, or do they want something that's more polished and reserved? Or maybe something in between. I presented the 3 stylescape options for the client, walking them through my thought process and reasoning behind each one. The goal was to give them the context they needed to fully understand each direction and what it could mean for the brand. After discussing the options, we landed on stylescape number 2 as my favorite, but there was still some hesitation. The client was drawn to the third one too, since that was actually the original vision for the brand. So they asked if I would explore a new direction that combined elements from both stylescapes number 2 and number 3, a sort of futuristic punk aesthetic that might capture the best of both worlds. So I went back to the drawing board one last time to see what we could come up with. This is the stylescape that I created, and the direction that we ultimately decided on for the brand. It has a futuristic modern vibe, but it still incorporates tactile elements like spray paint textures. It lets us bring in space-related concepts without making them the centerpiece. And it opens up the door for a more creative and rebellious spirit, one that you don't usually see paired with the sleek or futuristic design. With the stylescape selected, I could finally start working on the logo. When I design logos, I tend to think conceptually. How can I bring the brand's values into the logo? How can I make something that isn't static but feels like it's living and breathing? The idea that I latched onto was this. Space is the area between 2 objects. It's a simple definition, but it resonated deeply with what the brand stands for. Space is about community and inclusivity, and to have community, you need more than one person. With at least 2 people, you create space between them. That was a thought that stuck with me throughout the entire logo process. I spent hours exploring ideas, sketching, and experimenting, and I knew I wanted the logo to be flexible. This is a creative organization, so the logo needs to feel like it's part of the same creative spirit, not just a static mark, but something that could evolve and adapt. I started by playing with the spacing between the letters. After all, the most literal way to explore space is to create it. Just push the letters apart. Then I had a spark of inspiration. What if I tied in the outer space angle as well? I imagined each letter surrounded by a circle, almost like looking at the side profile of planets in orbit. It was the perfect blend of conceptual and the cosmic, a way to explore both meanings of the word space. The result is a logo that I can spread out or bring together. It can sit inside of a circle, stretch across a layout, or shift to fit different contexts. And that's exactly what I was aiming for. Not just a logo, but an idea. A living, adaptable identity that reflects the creativity at the heart of the brand. And now comes the exciting part, taking all the ideas that we've developed so far and putting them into practice. This means creating banners, brochures, templates, and more to really bring the brand to life. As we work through these deliverables, we start to get a clearer picture of how the brand elements interact and how we want to approach the overall system. And that becomes incredibly helpful later on when we start building the brand guide. Sometimes the ideas that we have in our heads don't quite work out in execution, so this stage gives us a chance to refine things and make sure that the brand functions just as well in the real world as it does in theory. Which color should take priority? Which percentage of the layout should each color occupy? What fonts work best for headers versus body text? When do you use the vertical logo instead of the horizontal one? Some of these answers will come easily, and others will take a bit of testing and fine-tuning. Either way, this part of the process lets us explore, create, and solidify how the brand will operate moving forward. Now, I don't add motion graphics to every project that I do, but once we landed on the logo, I knew this one needed it. I could already picture the variations moving around, combining, spreading, spinning, and at first I thought about doing it myself, but I'm not really much of an animator, and if I was going to do it, I wanted it done right. So I reached out to my friend Clay from Bled, who's an incredible designer, to jump in and bring these ideas to life. Seriously, his work is amazing, please go check him out. I gave him a rundown of the project and the concepts I had in mind, and he took it, ran with it, and he made the motion graphics completely his own.
Hi, I'm Clay SPAHN, graphic and motion designer at Bled, and Austin tagged me into this project to animate the space logo. What's exciting about motion design is that it can thoughtfully extend a brand's identity, not just as a decorative moment, but as a strategic language. With space, we already have some loud, playful moments and elements, like the spray paint motif. So I contrasted that with motion that feels functional, fluid, and deliberate. This showcases space as a platform with intention, as well as exploration. I created 5 unique logo animations optimized for Instagram, stories, and wide formats in both black and white, and they were made to easily overlay on any content space produces. Motion extends space's identity by giving it personality, flexibility, and a recognizable rhythm. Thank you for having me.
We'll take everything that we've accomplished so far and everything we've learned and put it into a brand guide. Having a detailed document that explains how to stay on brand is always a good idea, but for a small organization like this, it can sometimes feel like overkill. That's where KITTL comes in handy. KITTL is a collaborative design platform that makes it easy to bridge the gap. I can take core details from the brand guide and plug them directly into KITTL's brand kits, helping set both me and my clients up for success. From there, I can build out social media templates, business cards, or other deliverables that might need small tweaks down the line so the client can make those edits themselves without needing to reach out to me every time. And if they want to create something entirely on their own, the brand kit gives them a solid foundation to make sure everything stays consistent. They've got the right colors, the right fonts, and the right style. KITTL's collaboration feature also makes it super easy to share projects, whether I need their feedback or they need my help. Plus, it's packed with helpful tools like mockups and templates. So if you're a designer looking for a new tool to add to your toolkit, I definitely recommend checking out KITTL. It's free to sign up, so you've got nothing to lose. And if you want to try out one of the paid plans, you can also use my code AustinYT for 25% off the first month or first year on all paid plans. I'll leave a link in the description. This project was a big undertaking, but one that I had a lot of fun doing. It was challenging, but those obstacles pushed me down paths that I wouldn't normally take. Without them, I wouldn't have ended up with an identity that feels truly unique. It still has that futuristic vibe like something out of a film set in space, but it also brings in creative and rebellious elements that get to the core of what space really is. A creative collective and one day, an art center. I managed to balance the imaginative side with the practical, making something that can both communicate and evoke emotion. I also made sure that the identity is adaptable, not just the logo, but other parts too. One example is the type treatments, where letters and words can be swapped out with letters from the logo. This way, the space identity becomes recognizable not only by its logo, but through other design elements as well. That flexibility gives space plenty of tools to communicate in ways that it sees fit in each situation. To me, the best identities feel alive. They allow the brand to grow and change. I can't predict what the future holds for space, but I can set it up for success by giving it the tools to adapt. At the end of the day, design isn't just about making things look good. It's about giving form to an idea, helping people see what's possible, and communicating our ideas with others. That's what space is all about. And that's what this process has been for me, taking a vision and helping bring it to life. And if you enjoyed this video, I've got a lot of other videos like it covering all kinds of topics. So go check those out and see what you like. And if you enjoy what I create, I'd appreciate it if you would just leave a like and subscribe. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next video. Punk aesthetic that might capture the best of both worlds. Hi, Ruby. Hello there. Are you here to read my script for me? All right, get out of here. Get out of here, kid. Come on.